Hey guys, it's Anna and welcome to my channel. You guys, Colourpop and Kathleen Lights have collaborated again. One of my favorite brands, one of my favorite YouTubers, and they came out with a Zodiac Collection, which is so cool. And I know that this is like a theme now for brands, but in my opinion, this is the coolest Zodiac Collection I've seen thus far. So I'm going to be reviewing the entire collection with you guys today, doing this look, some swatches, all, you know what to expect. It's a review. We had a few disappointments, and we had some major hits. So if you want to see all that, go ahead and keep watching. Alright, so I'm going to be starting off using the Zodiac palette. This is by far, in my opinion, I think like the prettiest packaging Colourpop has ever come out with. I think they killed it with this collection. And this palette retails for $18 because we actually have a mirror in here with her Dream Street palette. That wasn't included, so it was $16. So I think I'm going to dip into the blues for today because I'm seeing a lot of warm toned looks online with like the purples and then these three shades, which honestly I think these three are some of the prettiest warm tones I've ever seen. They have such unique flips and undertones to them, but I want to do something just a little different, and I'm obsessed with using blue eyeshadow. So I'm going to start off with this shade Taurus, and I'm going to be using this as my transition shade. So I know this is just a brown, but this is honestly one of the prettiest transition shades I have ever seen. I don't know what it is about this shade. I feel like it has the perfect amount of warmth in there, but it's not too overpowering at all. And I think you could use this color for really any look you want to do. And now I'm taking the Colourpop E9 brush. It's a little bit more dense, but still slightly fluffy. And I'm just going to apply that same shade in the crease, because once I add that blue, it's gonna really contrast obviously against my skin tone, so this will help it blend a bit nicer. And once I have that down and all blended out, I like to take a big fluffy brush with no product on it and just go over it. So if that helps you with the blending process, that's like my #1 tip. I'm gonna dip into the shade Aquarius, and I'm gonna put this practically all over the lid. I know Kathleen was saying in her video that this color is a little bit more difficult to work with, like you just have to build it up a little bit. I will say I'm starting to notice that as I'm packing on this shadow, it's like moving around the product, so you can see it's looking a little bit bald over here. And when I'm trying to add the color, it's just kind of taking it away instead. This is like the 4th or 5th time that I've gone in and packed on this blue. So my recommendation when working with this shade is I would first put down like a base pigment, either a blue or a white, so that shade will just really stick down and make the color more vibrant, because as you can see in the pan, this just offers so much more than what I'm getting on the eyes. It's just a bit lackluster, and I know this is a super difficult shade to make, but I'm just kind of telling it how it is. So going back with Taurus and that E9 brush, I'm just kind of blending out the edges here. And now I'm just going back in with the Aquarius just to re-intensify that blue that I lost during the blending. And then for the half cut crease, I'm going to be using my Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define Concealer. This one's in the shade, the shade doesn't matter, but it's C6 if it matters. So I'm just going to place this in the inner portion of my lid. And then I'll kind of brush out the excess product. Then I'm going to dip into the shade the Gemini. I have to use this. It's one of the coolest golds I've ever seen. And I'm going to put that over the concealer. This shade is so pretty. It literally looks like a fool's gold kind of shade with a little slight bit of green in there. And then I'm just taking a detail brush and cleaning up the edges so it's really sharp. And then I'll kind of wiggle the brush on the edges here to try to blend it into this blue. I'm taking the Aquarius again and doing the same exact thing because I want the majority of the look to be obviously blue. Oh, that does not look good. I'll just place the blue on again. I can't imagine that this shade would be very long lasting if it's that easy to get rid of. I feel like it wouldn't last on the eyes for very long. I'm just going to go over it with the Gemini shade because the blue isn't really blending that well. Alright, so I'm back from doing the rest of my face so we can finish off the lower lash line now, and already within the time that I was doing my face makeup, this has completely faded. The blue is getting patchier and I feel like it doesn't even look that blue anymore. It's starting to look kind of gray and ashy and muddy. So I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I absolutely hate this shade. I think the only way you could really make this work is if you have that color base underneath and like something tacky to really hold it on there. You could use like a glitter glue, but on its own I would definitely not recommend it. But I'm just gonna use the blue again because we need to finish off this look, and I'm gonna smoke that down here. I'm just gonna add a little bit more in that spot. I just want to show you because I got a lot of hate the last time I reviewed Kathleen's last Colourpop palette because I used the dark matte blue in that palette as well and had a lot of issues with that. You can hate on me and question me as much as you want, but I'm just trying to give my honest opinion. And Kathleen is one of my absolute favorite YouTubers, so you know I'm not pulling any bias here. Then I'm going to take the Supernova shadow. This one's in the shade Constellation, and I'm going to pick some of this up on a very tiny brush, and I'm going to place this right by the waterline in the inner portion of my eye, and then I'm going to pop some in the inner corner as well. I think I'm actually going to drag this all along the waterline just because it's so pretty. I've never used this formula before, and I feel like the best way to test this out is to put it all over the lid and see how it acts there, but I just wanted to do this for today. And then for a little bit of extra brightness, I'm going to pick up the shade Cancer, also because you can't really blend out a liquid eyeshadow, so this will make the inner corner look a little bit less harsh. So I'm just going to pop that right over top. Ooh, that is such a pretty shade. Alright, so I just put on some mascara, so this is the final look. I actually really love it, minus the complications I had with the blue. And this collection comes with two different shades in their Supernova shadow formula. So we have Constellation that I used earlier, and this one is Astrology, which is supposed to be like her liquid version of the Super Shock shadow in Telepathy, which is one of my all-time favorite shadows from Colourpop. Now with this formula, just based on my first impressions, I would recommend this Stila Magnificent Glitter and Glow shadows over these, but this is just my first impressions, and like I said, it's literally like just right here. I don't know if you guys have seen Nicole Concilio's video like review on these when they first came out, but that review really turned me off from this formula because she would apply them kind of like all over the lid, and then she would use a matte shadow and, you know, try to blend the edges so it's not super harsh, and immediately they would like chunk off, crumble, and fall off. And whenever I see people use these, I feel like their lids just look really texturized, and as I was applying my mascara, it started chunking and falling off, and they almost look like scales a little bit because when they dry, it's not like one even metallic color. It looks kind of broken apart and scaly. So they're super intense and beautiful, but just what I've heard of these and based on my first impressions, I'm thinking these are not going to be for me. I know so many people love this formula, but it's very important to me to give you guys my unfiltered, honest review always. So I could change my mind, but this is what I'm feeling right now. And I will continue to use these. I do want to test these out all over the lids, but I'm a little bit nervous about that since I'm already seeing a little bit of issues just with it being on the lower lash line. Alright, so next we're going to be talking about their new shades in their Super Shock highlighter formula, and I am so excited about these. These are some of the best highlighters ever. High-end drugstore. They're beautiful. They look so wet and glossy and editorial on the face. I cannot get enough of them. So this first one is in the shade Fire. If you've never felt these before, they feel like wet, squishy marshmallows almost. And this has the prettiest, like, literal like fire undertone to it, like this warm peachy orange, the little bit of a gold flip to it is so stunning. It is going to be a little bit too dark for my skin tone, so I won't put it on my face for today, but I still wanted to swatch it for you guys. And these retail for $8 each, so worth the price. And then this one is in the shade On the Cusp. This one, They're so beautiful. Kathleen was saying this is like the perfect mix between a champagne warm kind of highlighter, but has a little bit of that silveriness in there, so it goes perfectly with any makeup look. So I'm going to apply this with my fingers because that's just my favorite way with this formula. The only thing with these is that you kind of have to take your time applying and blending it out just because it is like a cream formula. So I don't grab for this one, I'm in a rush. This one's definitely not as blinding as Flexitarian, but it's not as icy. I feel like it's a better undertone for my skin. And I'll take a little bit down the center of my nose and then right on my cupid's bow. And then once I apply it with my fingers, I like to just blend out the edges with a sponge. I also love these because you can apply these over top powder and they're not gonna get all funky, and they don't emphasize texture at all. So if you have any acne or wrinkles, I would definitely try out this formula. And then last products in the collection, we have 2 Luxe lipsticks in their cream formula. Absolutely love these. I will say prefer their matte finish more, but these are still so nice. They're long lasting, they're comfortable on the lips, and they also just look really nice on the lips. And these retail for $7. So I'm gonna start off by swatching the shade Scorpio Moon. Oh, and they're like super pigmented, like one swipe, full pigment. I'm not gonna lie, I was convinced this shade was not gonna be for me because I really don't gravitate towards purples very often. I really like a grungy gray or brown type of purples, but there's something about this that looks very like alien and outer space, not in a bad way. It's super fun. And I don't have a shade like this in my collection. It's so unique, and it's interesting because it's purple, and normally I feel like purples tend to be a little bit more like neutral or cool toned, but it's actually quite warm. It has a really fun, funky undertone to it, and I actually really like it. It's not a shade I will grab all the time, but if I'm feeling a little spunky, I'll whip it out. Ooh, did stain my lips a little bit, but it's fine. I really don't care. And then this next one is the Nude, which is in the shade What's Your Sign? Wow, I am obsessed with this color. This is genuinely one of the prettiest nudes I have ever seen. It's such a neutral, like brownie nude with the tiniest little bit of like a peach and pink undertone to it. It's so flattering. Kathleen knows her nudes. This is beautiful. Alright guys, so now for my final thoughts, I'm going to start off with the eyeshadow palette. I 100% recommend this. Yes, I had a lot of complications with the Aquarius shade, and I 100% don't like that shade, but that is one shade out of 12. So I'm not going to tell you don't get the palette because I don't like one shade. That's ridiculous. I absolutely loved every other shade that I used today, and I find that Colourpop's eyeshadow formula is very consistent. Same thing with their blue shadows. I consistently don't like them. I know the layout might be a little bit overwhelming or confusing, especially for beginners, but I think it's so inspiring and fun. And I don't think there's much else she could have done with this palette because it's literally laid out perfectly by month, by sign. And each sign really has its own specific vibe and color to it. So I think she absolutely killed it. And I'm sorry if you're a Taurus or a Virgo. I know many people were upset online. Some people were even upset over the Capricorn, but it wouldn't be a like usable or workable palette if you didn't have those go-to dependable browns. So all the Tauruses, Virgos, Capricorns out there, you are dependable and we need you. And if any of you guys are wondering and you're like, what's your sign? I'm a Sagittarius, November 22nd. So yeah, absolutely love this. You guys know how much I love it when palettes have those go-to and neutral warm shades, but also fun pops of color. So absolute hit for me. These Supernova shadows, I feel like I don't need to touch on these or have any conclusive thoughts because I said everything I wanted to say in the middle of the video, so moving on. Same thing with these really. The Super Shock highlighter. These Super Shock shadows are absolute must in your collection, and they're so affordable and they're really easy to work with. And the Luxe lipsticks, I say if you're eyeing one of these shades, grab it. They're so good, comfortable, long lasting, dependable, one of the best at the drugstore in my opinion. Alright you guys, so that's all for me today. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't already. If you might want to see me in any more videos, I'd appreciate it so much. I hope you guys are having an amazing day, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!